Welcome to the Krista Escamilla Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Krista Escamilla Show, and Happy New Year. That's right, 2024 is going to be amazing. I am sending all the good vibes your way, wishing you the best year ever. It can be all that you want it to be. Just go make it happen. You can do it. I am so excited about today's guest, but before we jump into it, I want to thank our sponsors. We have had such amazing support from our community, and I cannot thank you enough. So a big thank you to Tapestry Hotel Midland, to Kevin Foreman of Foreman Financial, Rig ID Workwear, Midland Cap Company, Thin FR, and JoinCapClub.com. Please support those local businesses however you can. Of course, you know that we love inspiring here at the Krista Escamilla Show, and boy, is today's guest going to be inspiring. I cannot wait to introduce you to Regina Stock. She is a mom first. We always like to say mom first, but ladies and gentlemen, she is Mrs. America. Yay! They're clapping at home for you, Regina, or in their car or on their walk. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is my first time on a podcast.
Yay! I'm so glad we're your first. Thank you. And I really appreciate that, because that means that you feel comfortable enough to share your story with us, and there's nothing better than that, is sharing time together and learning more about, you know, what makes you you and who you are. And so thank you for using this platform to do that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Speaking of platforms, I cannot wait to hear everything about Mrs. America and everything that it entails in your story. But first, let's just get to know you a little bit and find out a little bit about, you know, just you and where you grew up and West Texas and why you're in Midland and all those good things. So.
Awesome. So I was born in Andrews, and we moved to Odessa when I was like 8 or 9. And I graduated from OHS, so I'm a Bronco forever.
Go Broncos. I love the red. There you go, supporting the Broncos.
Yes. So I graduated from OHS, and then I moved to Midland. So me and my husband live here now. So we have 4 kids. We're a blended family. Our 2 oldest are 8 and 6, and they live in Utah. Our younger 2 live with us. They're 5 and 3.
And adorable. Just saw a picture on Facebook. They're so cute. I love kids.
You.
Oh, they're adorable.
I love how photo shoots are always like super chaotic.
Right.
And the pictures come out so good. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, that's not what it looked like here when we were shooting this.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
Yes,
True.
And then I got into pageantry when I was like 18 or 19.
Okay.
It was the Miss Permian Basin USA pageant. Was the first one I did here locally. And I think it's the first year ever that they held it also. And so I competed in the Miss Texas USA system for about 4 or 5 years.
What made you decide to jump into pageantry? What was it that you said, I'm going to give this a shot and try this out?
Well, I've always loved being on stage. So I sang. I was always in choir. That summer after I graduated high school, I was in the Heights at the Permian Playhouse. I played Nina. It was my first time getting into musical theater, and I got a lead role. And so I've always loved being on stage. And so I just love the glitz and glam of pageantry.
Yes.
And that was the first time that I had an opportunity to compete. So that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I did one and fell in love.
Yep. I think that's it. You know, once you do one, you're either hooked or you're not, right?
That's
it's like
right.
one or the other.
Yeah.
And once you do it, and then you find that, you know what, you're amongst these other amazing women that have similar goals,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that are going for their dreams. And to me, I love that part of pageantry
Yes.
is the sisterhood and
Yes.
supporting each other and rooting each other on. So I understand completely where you're coming from. I think that is amazing that it just hooked you from the first one.
Absolutely.
And you did that for 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, it does for like 4 or 5 years. And I met my best friend then, Bailey Burns. She ended up being my maid of honor when I got married. So we met through pageantry. And then me and my husband are serial entrepreneurs. So we've had like a directional drilling company, an ice company, and then an RV park. And then now I'm working on opening my own, because all those businesses were like joint businesses. And this isn't mine. I'm working on opening Ink RX. It's a paramedical tattooing company.
Fantastic.
So it's like brand new. It's not a thing out here yet. And it's camouflaging scars and stretch marks and reconstructing areolas.
Oh, wow. I love that. That is fantastic.
Thank you. So I just got into that earlier this year.
Okay.
And then I won Mrs. Texas back in April.
Okay.
So I decided, it took me 3 years, and I finally decided to compete. My best friend Bailey was like, hey, there's a system that's for moms and for wives, and you need to do this.
Because in the USA system, and we talked about this a little bit off camera beforehand, and in the Miss USA system, you used to not be able to be married. You aged out at 28, couldn't have kids, right?
That's right.
And so they changed it recently. You just told me this, and I was like,
This year.
what?
Yes.
When did this happen? This is amazing.
Yeah, so that's why I had stopped doing pageants for so many years, just because I had my son. And she's like, you got to do it. And she told me this back when I first had my youngest. And so finally this year, my husband's like, you need to do it. He's like, do something for yourself. He's like, do it, compete. Because he knew I really wanted to. It was just kind of one of those things that when you're a mom, you're like, I don't want to spend the money on myself or spend all this time on myself.
So true.
And so that's what had held me back. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I signed up. And I signed up and I paid my entry fee and I was like, okay, I can't back out.
Yeah. That's right. It's already done. And once that entry fee is paid,
yeah, you're like, I got to do it.
It just became real. That's awesome. And how long had it been a break for you?
Like almost 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah,
okay.
like 6 years.
Yeah. So little nerves, little butterflies.
Yeah. To be back on stage. And then it was completely different this time. I had 2 kids. Yeah. At that point, you're a different person mentally, physically after you become a mom. And so stepping back on stage was totally different. Yeah. And so I signed up and thinking that this year will be the year that I go back into a brand new system because I had never been a part of it. I had never watched their pageants, anything. And I was like, let me just go in, learn the system this year because every single one is unique. Everyone is different.
Yes.
And I was like, and then maybe I can go back next year and like really take it. And I think doing that took all the pressure off of me.
Right,
right.
Yeah. No expectations. Just go out there, do your best, and have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And the way I looked at it, like during prelims, like when you're on stage, a lot of people don't know, like during prelims, everybody walks the stage, everybody does swimsuit and evening gown. If you don't make it to finals, that's all you do. If you make it to finals, then you get to walk again. You do swimsuit and evening gown again. Yeah. And so, when I went into prelims, I was like, oh, this could be my last time on stage. So you know what? Just go out there, have fun, give it your all. And yeah, they just kept calling my name
and it worked. You kept making it. Is it top? Did they do a top 10, a top 5, a top 3?
I think they did like a top 12 or something like that. And then they went to top 5. And then
what'd you think at that point?
They just kept, I don't know, like I said, they just kept calling my name. And because it goes so fast. Once you do finals and you walk, everything after that just goes super quick. And so it was too fast for me to take it all in at once. So I just kept going through it. And then when I won, like I was crying. Those were genuine tears because I was like, this is not what I was expecting. Right. I was expecting to come and just learn the system. Yeah. And then so when I won, I was like, okay, what's next now? We're going to prep for Mrs. America. And for that, I had a totally different mindset. Not let me go in and learn the system. Right. I was like, okay, girl.
Let's go win this thing.
That's right. That's right.
I love that.
Yeah. So I had hired a coach for Mrs. Texas, Brooklyn Rivera. And she is a former Mrs. Texas, and she was Mrs. America.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So wonderful.
Nice little pedigree there.
Yes. Love her. And so she's the one that helped me with my paperwork and my bio and stuff for Mrs. Texas because, like I said, I didn't know the system. Right. So she kind of gave me the ins and outs before that. And then once you win Mrs. Texas, they have their sponsors you use. So then my coach was Austin Williams, who was also a Mrs. Texas and a Mrs. America. Wow. So I had 2 former Mrs. Americas to coach me.
That's wonderful.
And they both have like very different coaching styles, but I'm really glad that I got to experience both.
What did you learn from each of them differently?
So Brooklyn helped me as far as like paperwork and how to like give information to the judges, what it is that they want to hear. And she kind of taught me about the system. She's like, your interview, she's like, is 50% beauty, 50% personality. Yeah. Where other systems, sometimes they're very political or about current events and stuff. This one is not, which I really like about it.
I believe Miss America system can be a little bit more into the politics and not like even politics,
current events,
but current events.
Yes. So you have to be up to date with all of that and stuff. This one is not like that at all. It's like a conversation like this. It's very much a personality. They want to see if you're approachable, if you're friendly, and then they want to see if there's some substance to you.
Right, right.
That's a misconception a lot of people have about pageant girls. Unless you've been in the world or you know somebody in it, people are like, oh, you're a pretty face. And I was like, it's so much more than that.
So much more.
People don't know a lot of times that like the interview portion is half of your score. Right. The swimsuit and evening gown are only 25% of it. And so that's like your time. You only have 5 minutes to make this person love you. Right. To write your name down.
And don't you feel like you just have to be yourself in those? Because to me, that is where they really get to know you. It wouldn't be a shame if you went in there being somebody else and they didn't get to know you.
Exactly.
And so I can see why they loved you, because just sitting here visiting with you, I'm like, well, yeah, you're all those things. You're so personable. You're beautiful. You're personable. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're a businesswoman. You're a mom. So I can see that they would get see the real you in those 5 minutes. Because you're amazing. You're doing such great,
I really appreciate
great things. So from there, you won Mrs. America.
Yeah. So
what was that night like?
Wow. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. So my preparation for Mrs. America, it's really nice with the Mrs. Texas pageant. We have a whole boot camp.
Okay.
It's a whole weekend. You go over to the director's house. We all stay there, and she brings in a bunch of guest judges, and we go through mock interviews. I can't remember. I think she had like 8 mock judges, and you do 2 a day. And so with like 32 interviews that you go through. And it's nice because afterwards they sit down with you, they give you feedback, you get back up and you do it again. And there she only gave us like 3 or 4 minutes with each judge to see if you can get all your information out that much faster.
Right.
So then it made interview at the national level a breeze. And that's whenever I started working with my new coach, Austin Williams. And excuse me, whenever I had first gone into Mrs. Texas, pageantry, your why or your platform is such a huge thing. Some systems focus on it like more than others, but you need to have a reason. What is your why? That's what the judges want to know.
Right. And what is your why?
So when I first started Mrs. Texas, I went in postpartum depression, and finding my identity as a mother was what I started with, And then when I started working with Austin and we were getting ready for Mrs. America, we were sitting there and she's like, okay, what is your why? She's like, what makes you different? And I told her, I was like, well, this is what I started with. I said, but I don't know where to go with it. That's something I dealt with like when I had my first son. Yeah. And I was like, I felt like I've come through it. So it's not really it's something I'm passionate about. It's something I relate with because I went through it. Yeah. I said, but I feel like that's not it for me. Like, it's just not my why. That's not it. Right. And we were sitting there and she's like, well, what is it? And I was sitting here because this is over Zoom. And I'm like, man, I don't know. She's like, you're holding your breath. And she's like, this is going to seem silly. She's like, I want you to stop. She's like, close your eyes. She's like, and I want you to take 10 deep, slow breaths with me. And so I did this with her. And then I was just like bawling by the end of it. Wow. I just like broke down and I was like, what is happening right now? Right. And I'm sitting in my car, to get away from the kids to do my coaching session. And she's like, whatever that was, she's like, blow it out. She's like, let it go. And I looked at her and I was just like in tears. And I told her, I said, you know what, Austin, I said, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my why is. I said, that is why I came back to compete. Because I was like, I just don't know what it is I want to do. We had these businesses. Yes. It's not anything that I was emotionally or mentally connected to. Right. And I had just found paramedical tattooing earlier this year. And I told her, I was like, I don't know, I just don't know. And so that's what we started working on together. And
is following your passion?
Yes, it's finding my why. Because I was like, how am I felt like such a fraud. I had just won Mrs. Texas, and I'm like, a lot of girls want to be in my shoes. They know their purpose. I was like, but I don't have mine. And so,
and that's normal. I think I really just want to, they call it imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. And you feel like, and I feel like a lot of women have been there, and I'm sure men have too. I don't want to exclude our male listeners and viewers. Hi guys, but you feel that imposter syndrome, like I'm in this position or I'm in this title. Yes. What am I doing here?
Exactly.
And so I love that she had you really look into that. So what did you find?
So we started, mind you, this was only like a month before Mrs. America. And she's like, oh girl, we've got some work to do. And we had, I think like 5 or 6 weeks, and we started doing 3 to 4 sessions a week. And it was literally, I call her my life coach. Yeah. It wasn't pageant prep. We didn't focus on pageant. We focused on me, and it was like therapy.
I love it.
It was straight up therapy is what it was. And it really made me look into like my past, because I had an abusive and traumatic childhood. And being an adult, I thought I had moved past it and had just was able to bury all of it. Yeah. And so working with her made me realize like I am the way I am because of what's happened in the past. And so we really sat down, she taught me to journal and really dig through all of that. Yeah. So I had to like relive all this trauma, but I allowed myself to heal from it. And
which is so important.
Exactly.
It's so important to heal.
And during that first meeting where I had broke down, she was like, you're masking. She's like, you have a pretty smile on your face, and but there's a lot going on in there. Yeah. And she's like, that's why you broke down crying. She's like, everything's been building up.
I love this girl. She's awesome.
I love her.
She is amazing.
She is. Yes. She's a miracle worker. And that day, I went home. She said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start your shadow work, or what I call heart work. Mm-hmm. And that's your therapy. And you're journaling and stuff. And so I sat down with my husband. I told him, this is what happened today during our session. I found out that I mask all the time. It's from my childhood. I would go home, deal with whatever was happening there, and then have to go out into the world and act like everything was okay. Yeah. And so I carried that into my adult life, masking all the time. And when we went through boot camp, a lot of the feedback that I got was, we need more depth. We need more depth.
You were masking.
Exactly. Mm. So I grew up showing people what I thought they wanted to see, telling them what they wanted to hear, being whatever it was that would make people happy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she was the first one to call me out on it. And so I went home and told my husband, this is what we found. You know, I've gone my whole life masking. I don't relay what I'm feeling. I keep it all inside, keep it to myself, because that's not what I think people want to see. Yeah. And by then that conversation, he and I were both in tears. You know, at this point we've been married 3 years, almost 4 years. And he was like, this is the most in-depth conversation we've had since we first started dating. He's like, I can't wait to see where you go. Oh, I know. And it was
that's so sweet.
I know. Yeah. And so it felt so good to have that. Like I said, this improved not only just like me as a person, but like my relationships with other people. And so by the end of all of our therapy sessions, I told her, I was like, okay, I needed to change my platform. She was like, oh, this is huge. Like, what do you want to do? And I told her, I was like, something about like unmasking. Yeah. And so my platform became unmask and live full so you can leave empty.
Oh, I love it. Say it again one more time.
Unmask and live full so you can leave empty.
Yes. I love it. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful. Not that your first platform would have been bad, because postpartum it's a real, I mean, it is so hard for us moms that have been through it, and so many have. Yes. It is a great platform, but this platform, I feel like you can reach even more people and more women and men, and really because children, yes, because they have to heal from that trauma to move forward and live a happy life. And that's what everyone deserves, right?
Yes, exactly.
Everybody deserves a happy life. Oh, I love your platform.
Thank you. And it was so liberating.
Yes.
Like to find that, and man, it just changed my whole mindset on everything. And I made it my mission to not fit inside this box that I thought I had to live in. You know, I feel like anybody, and that's what I love about it. It doesn't pertain to like one organization or one thing or one kind of person. Men, women, children, you know, we're all told this is what the perfect man, woman should be. We're put in this box, whether it's by your family or culture or religion or society. You know, there's all these expectations put on us. And to just step outside of that is, like I said, it's liberating. It was, I don't know, it was life-changing for me. And so I told Austin, I was like, I want to do this for other people. Everybody deserves to have this freedom and to be able to breathe and take a deep breath and not hold their breath. And we found all of that literally like a couple of weeks before Mrs. America. I was like, okay, I'm ready.
What was it, the one thing that you did that maybe you could share that helped you get to that point where then you got to heal your childhood trauma, your generational trauma? What was it that you could share with us today that maybe could help someone that's listening?
Journaling was it for me, or obviously like therapy, because like I said, she plays my therapist. Yeah, it's therapy, hands down. She sent me a workbook that her therapist had sent her, and it had a bunch of prompts in there. It's called a shadow journal. So that's where my heart work. That was the most difficult thing for me leading up to Mrs. America. It wasn't the eating clean. It wasn't the working out. It was that shadow work, that heart work. It was hard because, like I said, it has prompts. So you sit there and you write it all out. And then when we would have our Zoom calls, I would read them out to her and tell her stuff that I've never told anybody, not even my husband. Right. You know, because I'm trying to play this perfect person. And that was the hardest thing. And so that's what made the biggest difference is not, I know it's hard to like relive that trauma, but being able to heal from it. That is what made the biggest difference, is journaling.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
We're sitting here today in Midland, Texas with Regina Stock, and she is the Mrs. America. And I know why you won it. And it's not the outward, it's the inward, really. I mean, your heart, just listening to you and talking to you, you can see it shines through in everything that you do. And we're talking about a lot of things. We're talking, of course, we're starting with pageantry and you know, her recent win. But we're going to get into the day your life changed in just a second after the title. But first we do quote of the day. And so quote of the day, Regina, is where you pick one of these guys out of here and then you tell me what it means to you. Read the quote. So which card? Oh, you got the smile card, of course. How appropriate is that? What does your quote say?
You can tackle the day or you can tackle you. Go tackle the day.
There you go. Yeah, that was my quote.
Her quote.
I say it to my kids all the time. I'm like, go tackle the day, because you can either tackle the day or the day will tackle you.
Exactly.
Don't let the day tackle you. Go tackle it. What does that mean to you?
Ooh, let's see. Back to my platform again. It's just making every day matter. Live fully as yourself, and that's what it means.
Oh,
That's perfect.
I know.
It's perfect.
It always works that way, Regina. It's so amazing. I love that. And one of the reasons why I love this platform here is because we get to, hear inspirational things like that, and your story, to hear inspirational stories like yours. See, and I told you coming into this, I had no idea. I mean, I met you one time.
Yeah.
I've seen you on social media, but I'm like, I've got to get to know her more and have her share her story, because it's a story that has touched a lot of our lives here in West Texas without even knowing you, right?
Yeah.
You came out really quick after you had won Mrs.
Yes.
America with a major health announcement.
Yes.
I'm going to let you share what that is. Tell us what
so
happened.
I won Mrs. America, and then a month later, almost to the day, I ended up in the ER, and I just got lucky that my mom happened to be in town the night before. She decided last minute to come into town, so she was staying with us. My husband was working in New Mexico, and I told her, I was like, hey, I've got to go to the ER. Can you sit with the kids? And I went, and they just kept running tests after tests, and I was like, okay, like, something's happening.
Why are they still keeping me here?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And at first they thought it was just like kidney stones. Mm-hmm. And they're like, you're probably just not having any pain. And then at the end of it all, then they sent a nurse in, and she came in and she was like, you have a 14 centimeter mass on your left kidney. And she's like, this was on a Saturday. She's like, you need to get into a urologist first thing Monday. And then she left. And she was like, you're free to go. And so I'm here alone, thinking I might just have a kidney stone. And I broke down. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, okay. She's like, hey, yeah. She's like, you can get dressed and go. And I was like, okay. And then so I went from like this high of having won Mrs. America. I'm like on top of the world. I felt invincible. And then this happens.
Right.
And
having a dream come true to finding
Yes.
out that this was happening inside your body.
Yes. And it was just devastating. And I broke down, and I was calling my husband before I was even out the hospital doors to tell him. And I called my best friend next and told her. And it was just such a scary time, because it's, like I said, this was on Saturday, and I had to wait till Monday to get the ball rolling. And so then we just had this couple, this all day Sunday of just like, oh my goodness, like just so many questions. And I think that was the most difficult part of all of this, was all the unknowns.
Right.
Cancer did not run in my family. This is not something I had ever had experience with.
So the emotions,
Yes.
from, like you said, going from the high to the low, what did you do next? Because I can't even imagine, I mean, just having those conversations with your husband that you never thought you would be having, because you're young. I don't know.
27.
You're 27.
Yeah.
You're a baby. I mean, to be 27 again. You I mean, really, you have this youth on your side, right? And,
Yes.
and you, to get that shocking, diagnosis.
Yeah.
What did you do next?
Like you said, like I was in the best shape of my life. I had been eating clean, taking care of myself, and I was like, I'm 27. Like, what do you mean I could have cancer? And so first thing Monday, we're calling doctors left and right, trying to get in. The ones we wanted to go to out of town, you had to get a referral first, and it was very difficult. The only reason we were able to get an appointment so soon is because my husband's aunt works at the hospital, and she knows all the girls who work in the offices, in the doctor's offices.
Right.
And she got me an appointment, and this sweet doctor worked through lunch to see me. And he's the one who referred me over to UT Southwestern in Dallas. And so the issue was that appointment was a month and a half later. That's the soonest they could see me. And so I'm sitting here once again, all these unknowns. They didn't even show me my scans or anything at the hospital.
You didn't even know how large it was.
They just told me it's 14 centimeters. She brought out a tape measure. That's how she walked in with a tape measure. She said, you have a 14 centimeter mass, get into urologist. And that was it. They gave me nothing. They showed me no pictures. And that day I actually ended up back at the ER a couple of hours later, because I went home with this news, told my mom, which was heartbreaking.
I bet.
Because she was trying so hard to be strong, you know, but I'm her oldest daughter.
Yeah.
And
as a mom,
exactly.
The worst feeling is that you can't fix this thing for your child.
Yes.
I'm getting teary-eyed. I'm thinking about your mom hearing that, diagnosis as well. And then you have to wait a month and a half.
Yes. Well, and this was before we even knew that. So then I was in horrible pain. She was like, well, why don't you go sleep? You woke up early, go get some rest. And I was in pain. And I was like, I texted my husband, because he was trying to get home as fast as he could. And I was like, I got to go back to the ER. I said, I don't know what's happening. I had a pain in my left side. I just found out I had this massive mass. And so we actually called his aunt, and she came and picked me up and had to take me to the hospital again. And they found out that I had an ovarian cyst that had ruptured.
Oh my goodness.
And because
so is this on top of?
Yes, this was only 2 hours after I had first arrived at the hospital the first time. Wow. And so I get there and he's like, well, the doctor was like, I don't understand. He's like, your pain is down here. He's like, that has nothing to do with your kidney. I was like, I don't know. I said, I just threw up in your lobby. I was like, I'm in horrible pain. The only thing I can like compare it to was when I had contractions, like when you have a baby. It was that bad. And even then I didn't vomit when I gave birth to my babies, you know, and so they did more tests and that's what they found. And I said, so today is just my unlucky day.
Right. You're like, what is happening today?
And he's the one who was like, I don't know if they talked to you about your scans. I said, no, they didn't. He's like, I looked at them. He's like, you need to get into a doctor as soon as you can. He's like, you're very young. He's like, you're healthy. He's like, no doctor's going to push this to the side. He's like, please get this taken care of as soon as possible. And in my mind, like all of this is happening, but I'm also like, okay, I'm supposed to compete on Mrs. World in January. And for me, it was very important to be there because I went through this whole journey to be able to win Mrs. America. Exactly. And so I was like, well, as soon as that was like my main concern. I was like, am I going to need any kind of radiation therapy? Is this going to be a quick surgery and then we're done? Right. Because my first runner-up, Mrs. California, who I love, she's a sweetheart. I wanted to be able to give her enough time to get ready if I had to step down.
That's sweet of you thinking of,
because I didn't want to hold out hope and, you know, a week before be like, hey girl, you're going to Mrs. World.
Surprise.
It takes a lot of prep and planning because you're there for an entire week, you know? And so finally, like I said, my appointment was a month and a half away. My mother-in-law, I love her to death. She kept calling up there to UT Southwestern because they had told me, they were like, we can move your appointment sooner once they see your scans, if they see there's a need for it. Well, my scans never got there. So that's why we never got that call. Gotcha. So she had called and gotten a hold of somebody and gave their number to my husband, and he was able to call and they moved my appointment sooner. Wow. I know. It was.
That's why you have to stay on top, right?
Yeah. The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yes. I like that.
Yes. And so, you know, I posted my announcement and just let everybody know, like my directors and stuff, just so they knew what was going on. And in case I had to step down, everybody was aware. And then I posted on social media so that people would know. And because I want to be open and vulnerable, you know, I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know, and so
could not agree more.
I didn't know why all this was happening.
And I'm telling you, when you did that, the prayer chain that went through West Texas, I mean, just, I've read some of the comments. I mean, you had the whole community. Of course, you have your family's love and support too, but you also had this community praying for you, going, girl, you got this. You've got, on surgery day, I saw the comments. It was just like, we were all just rooting for you that you're going to be okay. Yeah. And it was a great feeling to be supported like that. So like we went to my appointment in Dallas finally, and he at that point we had seen the scans. We went and picked up my medical records from the hospital, and we went to my husband's parents' house and we put it in their computer, and that is how I saw my scans. Wow. Yeah. And I'm glad we did. At this point, you know, like I said, it had been like a month since I first went to the ER. So I was still living life. There was a bunch of unknowns, but I was processing it. But seeing those scans made it so much more real for me because like when you see them, the mass was huge. Yeah. It was huge, and it took up this whole side of my abdomen. And so, like I said, it just made it a lot more real for me. So it was, I'm glad we did that though. It was scary. And I'm glad we did that beforehand, because then when we went to Dallas, my urologist, he was like, have you seen these scans? And I was like, yes. We have, like, fortunately, because he was scrolling through them. I'm glad I had already processed all of that before we got there. But he was very confident. He was like, we can go in with surgery and take it out. He said, you should be fine. We shouldn't need any radiation. Wow. And I was like, this is best case scenario. So he was like, man, I really thought you'd be more upset. But I was like, we thought I was going to need radiation beforehand. Yeah. And so to find out that's not this is best case scenario. And had they already done a biopsy on it to find out if it was cancerous or anything yet? No. Okay. My husband has a family friend who is a radiologist. And he's the one who was like, she may need radiation just because it's so big. Yeah. And so that's why we had thought I might need it. And so when he said we didn't, I was like, this is best case. Yeah. And I told him, I said, I understand. I said, we're sitting here talking about cancer. I said, but I'm Mrs. America. I said, I have Mrs. World coming up in January. You're like, I'm going to be on that stage. Yes. So this was like mid-October. And I told him, I was like, how fast can we operate? I said, and how long is recovery? Yeah. I said, because if I'm not going to make it, I'm going to go ahead and, step down, let Mrs. California know she's going. And he was like, well, he said, we're normally booked out. He's like 2 months in advance. And so that would put me having surgery in December. Oh, wow.
And so
and going day to day, knowing this mass is in you,
yes,
right?
just sitting there, and it was already
yeah.
massive. We found out it was like 14 centimeters by 14 centimeters, so it was just a ball. And I was like, my heart just kind of dropped when he said that. He was like, let me sit down at the end of the day, you know, I'll look at my schedule. And he's like, you're gonna have a very big incision. He's like, because since it's so big, he's like, we can't do robotic surgery. He's like, it's going to be an open surgery. And he was like, and you're going to have a really big scar. I said, that's okay. The swimsuits are one pieces.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good. I don't care.
He thought he was so funny. That's what I told him. I was like, it's okay. They're one pieces. I said, as long as I can be there.
Yeah.
You know, I told my husband, I was like, even if I have to wear flats, I said, I'm going to be at Mrs. World. I'm going to do whatever it takes, because it was so important to me. I worked so hard to get there.
And you know what? It's our scars that make us beautiful.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what size that scar is, really. I mean, to be here and to be this walking testimony.
Well, and just to be alive, because, you know, like I said, that was so scary afterwards. I'm sitting here looking at my children just bawling, because I'm like, they're 3 and 5. They're babies. Like, they need me still. I have not done my job yet.
You're like, God, I'm not done here.
Yeah. Yes. And it was very hard. And again, Austin, my coach, she was like my therapist then. We would FaceTime all the time. And she would help me work through everything and check in on me. And
what a blessing to have her during this time of your life.
Like I said, everything happens for, you're fine. Everything happens for a reason. You know, I truly believe I was meant to win Mrs. Texas in order to go through this emotional and mental growth right before Mrs. America. Yes. Because had I not gone through that, going through this cancer journey would have been so much more difficult. Yeah. You know, changing my mindset and the way I live my life helped me get through this, you know, without falling to pieces. It really did.
I could not agree more.
Yes.
I mean, I can just see it in you. I can see your testimony coming out, and just like the growth. And I didn't know you before, but I can only imagine what this did to change your whole outlook on life.
Yes.
So they go in, they pull it out.
Yes.
And they find out it was cancer?
Yes. So it was cancer, and they find out that it was like an extremely rare form of kidney cancer. It's called like chromophobe renal cell carcinoma, and only 5% of kidney cancer patients have it. And so my doctor was like, normally he's like, with like regular clear cell renal cell carcinoma, he's like, we would give you medication just to make sure it doesn't come back. You don't have a reoccurrence. He said, with this, because it's so rare, it's normally hereditary. He's like, there hasn't been enough testing to even know if that medication works. Wow. So he's like, we'll just keep an eye on it. He's like, that's all we can do. And then in January, I have to get genealogy testing done because, like I said, cancer didn't run in my family. Normally, this is hereditary. So he's like, this could be a genetic mutation that started with you. Okay. And so now I'm going to get tested in January. That way we can figure out if it's something we need to test our children for.
Right. Good to know. Yeah.
Yes. And after that appointment in Dallas, I was like messaging all my pageant sisters, because, you know, we all have group chats and stuff, and my coaches, and letting them know what was happening. And they rallied together. Brooklyn, my first coach for Mrs. Texas. And it was just amazing to see like how the pageant community came together, and not just the Mrs. America system, but other systems as well. And they started a GoFundMe for me, and they were just sharing it everywhere. And it was between that and like our community and like our families, there was like news articles coming out in other states. I just felt so loved and so supported. And I was like, this is happening for a reason. I was like, but I have to be okay. There's no way. I just felt so confident about it. I was like, I'm ready. Like, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. Like, I spoke it into existence. I was like, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to survive.
Good for you.
And then, man, after our appointment, I got an email, and literally that same day after I had met with my urologist, and he said my surgery was November 1st. And I told my husband, I was like, that's only like 2 weeks away. I was like, I wonder if that's my actual date. And I don't know what they moved around or what, that it wasn't 2 months out, but a week and a half later, I was going to be operated on.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And everything just lined up the way it was supposed to. It was like divine timing, the way everything's worked out the past 5 months for me. And so we go to surgery, and my wonderful in-laws volunteered to keep our babies for 2 weeks. And my husband went with me to the hospital. He never left my side. My mom and my sister too, because they live out there in Dallas. Yeah. And they were with me the whole time, and it was just so scary going into surgery. Being put under is terrifying.
It is. And what were you thinking when they were about to put you under? Because I remember you did a post right before you went in, and I thought, and I was thinking about you. I thought, as a mom, as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, what that must have been like going in. Did you say anything to your family that you really remember from that moment?
Oh, man, it was. I don't know. It was scary. And I remember like a week before, and it broke my heart. My husband was like, I'm scared. And yeah, that was hard.
I'm so sorry for y'all to go through this.
It's okay. We're on the other side of it.
That's right.
We're on the
That's
other side
right.
of it.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Yes.
And
What was hard, like going, and it was funny, my surgeon came in, he's like, you have any questions for me? I said, are you going to put staples in my body? He's like, well, typically, he's like, we do. That way, if you get an infection, we can just undo a staple or two. He's like, whereas, if we stitch you up, we have to undo it all. He's like, but you're healthy. He's like, we don't think you'll get an infection. He's like, so no. I was like, thank you.
Okay, good.
And then,
thanks.
and it was quiet. He's like, was that your only question? And so I said yes. I said that because, and I don't want to have to go get them taken back out. It seemed I don't do well with pain.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that was it.
You're like, that's it. Okay, let's do it.
I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Let's get this
And I
guy
was-
out of here.
I like put on this brave face. I was ready to go in surgery. My mom and my husband were there, and my mom goes to hug me and she starts crying. I was like, no. So I'm laying here, they're wheeling me back, and I'm like crying. And the last thing I remember is they like put a mask over my face, and then next thing I know I was waking up. Yeah. And I just remember I woke up, I was like,
it is scary.
It was scary.
Yeah. I've only had it once where they put you under. It's scary. It is like, you think, please God, wake me up.
Yes.
I mean, like, I'm not done here, right?
Yes. And it was weird. Like, I didn't dream or anything. There was a mask over my face. And then I woke up and I could hear somebody asking me, like, hey, are you in pain? And I could hear my husband and my mom and everything. I was like, okay, we're good.
Gonna be okay.
Yes. And I was so happy when I finally got to my room and actually woke up and was aware of what was happening, So just know we came out the other side, and then my doctor told me, we got it all out. He's like, it doesn't look like it's spread anywhere. And
what a miracle.
Yes, it was. And then they had said originally I would spend like 4 or 5 days in the hospital because they said recovery was pretty difficult just because it was open surgery. And I think I was only there 3 days. And they had me walking by like that next day, and he was like, we're going to send you home. He's like, you've flown through all of our tests. He's like, we thought this would be a lot harder on you than it was. He said that actually younger people take it a lot worse than older people.
Really?
He did. That's what he said.
I was going to say, you have youth on your side.
Yeah,
They're like,
apparently that's not how it
that's
goes.
That's
not the case.
Myth debunked right here.
Yes. And so they were like, we're going to send you home. And so that ride home was rough because we drove home. And so it was a blessing that my in-laws kept the kids because they still like to climb all over me. They still like to be all over mom. They're little. Right. Because that recovery was hard. Those first couple of weeks home were really rough. My husband had to help me do everything from like shower to getting up off the couch. I could not laugh or cough or sneeze. And my husband, bless his heart, he's hilarious. He is so funny. That's why I married him.
Like, stop making me laugh.
He would make me laugh. And so I would try so hard not to, but I would laugh. And then by the end of it, I was like bawling because it hurt so bad. And I finally looked at him. I said, babe, I was like, I love you. I said, no funny voices, no jokes. I said, no commentary, no anything.
No
I said,
commentary.
you're killing me. I was like, I can't do it.
That's awesome.
So it was a rough recovery. And then, I came through it. It was hard. I was like bent over and I was like, man, I don't know how my recovery is going to go. I was like, I need to hurry up and heal.
Yeah. Because you're thinking, okay, it's go time now.
I am. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let me get through this recovery. And then everything is getting ready for Mrs. World after that. And the other thing too, we were trying
I love that you never gave up on that too, because I think it's so easy to go, okay, I'm just going to let Miss California go.
Yes.
Right. And I'm going to focus on this. And you were like, no, we're going to take care of this and I'm going to be okay. And we're going to keep going.
Yes, exactly.
And what an inspiration to your kids too, for them to see that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's a big, thing like with my platform too. Like I said, it applies to anybody and everybody. And, at the time I was reading Untamed, by Glennon Doyle. And it's a wonderful book. I think all women should read. And it just happened that my friend gifted it to me right after I had won Mrs. Texas. So I was reading it right when I was meant to. All that timing, like I said, everything lined up for me. And then there she talks about how she didn't want to be a martyr for her children, especially her daughters, and let them see that she gave away so much of herself and sacrificed all of herself just to be a wonderful mom.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I want to live life to the fullest and model for them the life that I want for them. And that just resonated with me.
Love that.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, I want to do, like, a lot of times they say, our ancestors sacrifice in order for us to be able to do what we do. Like my grandmothers and great grandmothers never had the option of doing a beauty pageant, of going and having a career that they wanted. They were homemakers, and a lot of times because they had to be. Yeah. And so I am a firm believer, like my ancestors walked so I could run, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. When my babies look back, I want them to be able to say, Mom did it all. She chased all of her dreams. Why can't I? Yes. And especially for my daughters, that's something I want them to grow up knowing and living, because I want my babies to go further than I ever could.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank
You are
you.
so amazing, Regina.
Thank you.
I love your heart and everything that you've gone through. I think it all has happened for a reason, and you are going to inspire so many people with your story. And I just want you to know that, as an outsider, praying through this journey for you, I am so happy to meet you and to get to hear your story and to see the fruits of it and where you are now. And you just told me you've clean bill of health. They got it out.
Yes.
You're good. You go back in January, but you're doing great.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
could not be happier for you. And I feel like you are such an amazing role model for so many
Thank
people.
you.
And I wish you all the best at Worlds. I know you're going to go and you're going to make all your dreams come true. It's going to be amazing to watch the next step of your journey. And I kind of shared earlier that we did, that I emceed a lot of pageants and did some pageantry when I was
Yes.
growing up, and I was in the Miss America system. But the one thing I always felt in pageants is you're a winner for getting up there no matter what. Every one
Yes.
of those girls is a winner
Yes.
for being there. And I don't know what the future holds for Miss World, but you guys should pick her. Just throwing that out if any judges are
Thank
listening.
you.
But I just want to say you have won so many hearts, and to me that's more important, and just the role model that you are being for so many people.
you.
So congratulations.
Thank
and,
you so
and
much.
I continue to pray for your health
Thank
and
you.
And for all of your dreams to come true, because that is, to me, there's nothing better, right? To have those goals, to have those dreams. And we're going to talk more about that in just a minute. But first, and I want to also thank you for sharing your story, because I know how emotional it is
Yes.
for you, and it's hard.
Yeah, this is the first time I've sat down and actually told my story. So yeah, it's bringing up a lot.
It is, and it is emotional time. And I really, I truly feel like you're helping people by sharing your story, because it can be hard when you're going through something, and not everyone's going to go through the exact same cancer
Yes.
situation or mass, but we all, my husband and I say this all the time, we all have our cancers in life, right? And it can be anything. It could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be, you lose a loved one. We have those hard times, and to see how you fought your way through this one, it really is inspirational. So
Thank you.
I'm going to have you grab that one, this bowl right here.
Okay.
That bowl is the question of the day.
Okay.
So we're going to mix them up. And we're sitting here today again with Regina Stock, Mrs. America. There she is,
All
Mrs. America.
We got
All
kind.
right, what'd you
on the
get?
back. Kind on
A
the
kind
back.
card, which so fits you. I love that. See, you got the smile and the kind card. And what does it say?
Oh, I love this.
What is
My
it?
coach told me this exact thing like a week ago.
Really?
I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yes,
Angelou.
Maya Angelou. One of the best. One of the best
I love this.
quotes. Oh, this is awesome. This is
Yes.
so perfect. I love
Yes.
that. What does that mean to you?
Wow. Everything.
Everything.
It's funny in pageantry, that's what they tell you. They're like, a lot of times judges won't remember a lot of things that you said, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. You
Absolutely.
know, after I had one of the judges came up to me and she was like, I just have to tell you, she's like, you were so inspiring. She's like, you just exuded confidence. And it meant the world to me to have her say that after all the hard work that I know that I had put in to get there.
I love that. And I love that phrase, heart work.
Hard work.
That is amazing. So we're going to talk, we're going to switch gears here and talk some questions and just have some fun. And how did heart work come out, first of all, before we get into those fun questions? Because I love that phrase. So how did you get to heart work?
My coach, Austin,
Okay.
she had told me, she's like, we're going to do some shadow work. She's like, or heart work. She's the one who introduced me to it. And like I said, that was such a huge part of my transformation. And so that's why I made it part of my platform. And
love
like
it.
my platform, like I said, is unmask and live full so you can leave empty. But you do that by doing your heart work, by asking for help, and then taking yourself off that pedestal. You know, through doing all that, I realized the only person still keeping me in that box or on that pedestal was me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's
love
where
it.
it came from.
Okay. Let's talk a little pageant questions.
Yes.
So say right now you're going to give advice to someone. Someone's going to go in. There's 3 things they need to know about pageantry. What is it? What are those 3 things?
1, leave it all on stage.
Okay.
Because like I said, if you don't get through prelims, that is your one time on stage to make an
Yeah.
impression. Leave it all out there, because there's a lot of girls that afterwards, you know, turn around and they're like, man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have,
Yes.
you know, live full, and leave empty. And that goes for every day and anything
Yes.
you do. The next thing I would say is, I know you hear it all the time, but be yourself, you know, and not what you think everybody wants you to be, not what you think a beauty queen is.
Yes.
Genuinely, who are you? What do you stand for? What are you passionate about? Let the judges and the audience know. That is so important in pageantry.
It really is.
Find a why that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
You know?
Which you found yours.
Thank you. I am very fortunate.
Oh my goodness.
And
Good
let's see.
advice.
Thank you. Thank you. And let's see. Hold on. A third one. Let me see. Don't wear your heels on stage for the first time at the pageant.
That's so
Make
good.
sure you're in them beforehand.
So good.
Yes. Yes.
Because
practice in them.
otherwise you will be a little wobbly.
Yes.
Yes, and you might fall. too.
You got to build up that ankle strength because it's hard. It is. So practice in your heels before pageant day.
Good advice. Good advice. I noticed the other day you mentioned that you like to do your own makeup, which
Yes.
I think is awesome because and not all of us can do our makeup as beautiful as
Thank
you.
you. Thank
I
you.
wish I could do mine as good as you. But you're going to share some tips with us today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so and I'm also a fellow. I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah.
Right? I sit on the ground. I have this little setup. My husband put a mirror because I've done this since I was little. Since
Yes.
I was like, well, I guess as little as you start doing makeup, like say 16. But I like to sit on the ground with a mirror and just sit there and do it. So what tips do you have? Give us a good 2 to 3 tips that can make our makeup look as beautiful as Mrs. America.
Oh, okay. Let me see. When you're blending out your concealer, you use your foundation to help blend it out. And then I also, before I blend it out, I spray my setting spray, and it really helps like melt everything together and blend it together.
I like
It's
it.
a really good
I like it.
trick. Let's see. Your skincare is very important. If you don't have good skincare, your makeup's not going to look good.
True.
That's very important.
So
What
wash
else?
your face.
Yes.
Wash your face.
Yes, wash your face.
Listen to your mom when she tells you to wash your. That goes for boys too.
Yes.
I've been
Wash your face, guys.
Yes, wash your face, guys.
I haven't convinced my husband yet to like use actual skincare, but he washes his face.
Well,
so
that's good.
That's a start.
That's a start. That's a start. That's coming next. As he ages, he might be like, okay, yeah, maybe I need
We'll
need to
see.
take
He's a
some
very
better-
stubborn man. What else is there? Let's see. If you're in front of a camera or on stage, heavy-handed with the makeup.
Yes, true.
Those stage
Those
lights,
lights.
they wash you out, and you need to go heavier than you think you do.
Right. Good advice.
Thank
Yay.
you.
So there you go. Ladies, take notes. We too can look like Mrs. America. Right?
Thank you.
Not as beautiful. You are so beautiful. Oh my
Thank
gosh. You
you. I
really
appreciate
are
it.
inside and out. And I think it's your inside that even makes you more beautiful
you.
because that really shines through and when you're speaking. Okay, more questions. Okay. The next question is, let me I had so many and now like I'm like, what did I want to make sure I said to her? Here's the advice or the question I have. What advice would you give your daughter if she ever wanted to be in a pageant?
I can't wait till they get to that age, and I hope they decide to.
Yes.
Like I said, it's not for everyone. I think it would be literally my platform. You know, that's why I love it.
Find your why.
Find your why. What is it that you're passionate about? Why are you here? What is your purpose? And then go into it full. Like a lot of girls, you know, they go into pageantry and they're like, oh, this is my biggest competition, or she's prettier, she has a better walk. That's not what it's about at all. Your confidence comes from you fully accepting who you are and being happy with that. And that's why, you know, that's how I went into Mrs. America Week, very confident in myself. For the first time in my life, I accepted everything that I was. I knew who I was.
Yes.
I had
gotta
my
know who
why.
you are. Yes.
You know, and there was no looking around and be like, oh, you know, she's better or whatever. That's not how you should be.
And I think that's important in life, not just pageants.
Yes.
And I love pageants. I really do. I feel like they are such good confidence builders.
Yes.
And I know because I've seen it, I've lived it, I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. It is such a confidence builder, but you have to do what you just said. You have to be yourself. And please, if you've ever had a bad opinion of pageants, and I've heard them all out there, and I know it's tough, and it's why are you putting yourself out there and being judged? If you've ever had a bad opinion, all I ask you to do is sit down with someone that has been through pageantry, and you will see what pageants have done for them, and the growth, and the lives changed, and the scholarships. I mean, help pay my way through college. I mean, they have so many benefits that you carry into the real world.
Yes. Well, and I always tell people pageant girls are some of the most incredible women you will ever meet.
Yes.
Everybody has their story. Everybody has their platform. They all have a difference they're trying to make. Man, pageant girls ran the world.
That right there.
It'd be sparklier. For sure.
Yeah, which it should be.
It should be.
Never let anyone dull your sparkle.
Yes. Some people, I always tell my husband, I'm like, some people are like intimidated by powerful, strong women. But that's one thing I love about pageantry is being surrounded by them. It's inspiring.
Yes.
You leave pageant week feeling like you can take on the world, like you can do anything, whether you win or not.
And it's amazing to meet other women that have these big goals and dreams
Yes.
and desires too, right?
Yes.
Because you feel like you have met, once again, the sisterhood.
Yes.
That you've met other people, because not everybody shares that, and that's okay. Everyone's different, and I understand. But when you meet that person, you connect with them on another level, and you're like, now you're rooting for them. Like I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader from here on. I'm like, I am rooting for you. You're going to go win that Miss World. I am just like, so you can do it. And when you meet other people that are like that, it really fills your heart. And, and I think everybody deserves to have people in their life that are encouraging them and rooting for them so that they can have all their dreams come true.
Yeah.
And
so
that's what pageants
my
do.
roommate actually was Mrs. New York, Chloe Rosin. We got along so well. We're very good friends now. We are in contact all the time. And whenever I won, because we were both rooting for each other, we both made top 15.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then she didn't go on to top 5. And whenever I'm sitting there and I'm getting crowned in my video, you can see she's standing on the riser over behind me, and when they called my name, she is just jumping up and down and cheering. And luckily, I'm so glad this was all recorded. And then later on, like once I do my walk and stuff, and all the girls are coming down to hug me, I turn and she's right there beside me. She just jumps and hugs me, and I sent her the video the other day. I said, look at this video I found of us. Like, she was so genuinely happy for me. Like I said, these women are incredible, and you're rooting for any of them. Whether you make finals or not, you're like hoping these girls win. And that's one thing that's kind of difficult. Whenever you win, you realize like you getting your dream, like accomplishing it, was the end of somebody else's.
Yeah, that is hard.
Like I said, everybody was incredible. Everybody is deserving. Had it been different judges on a different day, the outcome could have been different. And that's what I tell people to think about when they're going into pageants. Had it been another judge or another day, or there's a lot of factors that play into it, but it doesn't make you any less. Yes. It doesn't change what you've done, what you're doing. And now, one important thing I want to stress is like, even after nationals or whatever next pageant you're trying to go to, whatever your purpose is, whatever your why is, don't have it just because you want to compete in a pageant. Right. Whenever you leave there, had I not won, I'm still Mrs. Texas. I still have a title to represent. And I still have my platform to spread. Your journey does not end just because you didn't win the next title.
I love that. I love that. And I think that is so important. Yes. I'm thinking of all these things right now. And I keep going back to the heart work, right? I want everyone to really kind of dive into that more when they leave today. That's kind of what I hope for everyone, listening to your story and sharing their story, because I think there is nothing better than growth and growing and healing. And so I keep going back to that heart work. I love that. And so with that said, I want to ask you, what do you hope your legacy is as Mrs. America, and what you've learned? What do you want to leave behind?
Wow. That's hard. I honestly, like I said, I was raised by a single mom with 4 kids. We were poor, we were not rich by any means. I had never had any experience with pageants or anything. And then to see where I am now, it's just life changing. And I've had so many people message me after I won through my cancer journey. Like, you're just such an inspiration. Like, I feel so motivated by you. Like, if I can do it, anybody can. I just want to, like this quote said, I want people when they think of me to feel inspired and feel powerful, and feel empowered to just take on the world. Everything happens for a reason. Yes. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and everything falls into place. I had mentioned earlier I was going into paramedical tattooing. Yes. And the reason I got into that is because for me, it was more spiritually fulfilling. It's something I could be passionate about and feel good about at the end of the day. Like, I help somebody. You're
helping people.
Exactly. Yeah, camouflaging scars, stretch marks, reconstructing areolas. It's just like permanent makeup, essentially. Yes. And I was trying to have that open before the end of this year, but then my cancer journey happened. And so I told my husband, you know, like all of this happened because it was supposed to, whether my cancer journey happened to connect me to my platform more. It was like, life was like, let's see if you're living full. It was like, let's put that to the test.
That heart work.
Or, you know,
Wow,
to really
so
connect
true.
me to my business,
Yeah.
to like my clients, to helping other cash. Because now I have a scar from the top of my abdomen all the way over to my side.
Yeah.
Once it's healed, it'll be something that I can camouflage. But now I have an emotional connection to my business.
You're going to be able to help so many people. You're just going to be able to help that many more people.
Yeah.
And I love that. Let's talk business real quick before we do our favorite things. So, because I know we're getting, you've got to go on with your day. So I feel so bad I keep you here,
No,
because I could keep you here
love
like
this.
2 or 3 more hours. Okay, so let's talk business, because you said you're serial entrepreneurs, and I understand. I always say I'm entrepreneur by marriage. My husband is
Yes.
the entrepreneur of all entrepreneurs, and I love that. I love that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And also raised by a single mom as well, who was an entrepreneur. What advice would you give going into a new business? Because I know as soon as you go and compete at Miss Worlds and you bring back that title, and then you're going to go open your business. What advice would you give to someone that is going to open a business? Because I think we can never get enough business tips in life.
Yes. I will say the hardest thing for me, because like I said, all the other businesses, I'm like you, I was married into entrepreneurship. All the other businesses my husband had started, I wasn't there for the start of them and stuff, but this one is the first one that's mine. I think the scariest thing for me is taking that first jump.
Yes.
You know, and I had listened to a podcast and they were talking about shedding your shoulds. Instead of me thinking about, this is what my business,
that.
this is where I should be in my business. This is what it should look like. This is how I should run it. You know, what is it that you want to do? What is holding you back? And she was like, why haven't you opened your business yet? Like, what is it? What's stopping you? And it made me sit there and write down, like, this is what I'm afraid of. I was scared to take that initial jump. It's a new thing that's not big. So there's no market for me to compare it to out here or anything. It's just taking that jump. But you have to put in the work for it. You know,
Yes.
you can dream all day, but if you're not working towards it, they're just dreams.
Yes.
You know.
Shed your shoulds.
Shed your shoulds.
I love it. I love that. That is
That's our quote. You better write it
awesome. I know that is the quote of the day. Shed your shoulds.
Yes.
I love it. Well, okay. Favorite things is a fun little thing we play. I just throw out a little something, and you tell me. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
So, okay. So first thing is, what's a fun fact about you that we wouldn't know by reading your bio or hearing your story today?
Let's see. I like karaoke. I love karaoke.
Oh, me too. Karaoke's so much fun. What's your song? What's your go-to song?
Ooh, Love on the Brain by Rihanna. Hands down.
Ooh, I bet you sing that really
Thank
good,
you,
really
thank
well. That was bad grammar. Really well. That's awesome. Okay, see, wouldn't have known that. Not in your bio. Favorite book?
Ooh. It's probably going to be Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that
wanna
was a
read
very,
that one, yeah.
yes, it was a wonderful book. It was very life-changing for me. Yes.
Okay. Favorite life hack? Something that has made your life easier. I don't care if it's those set of rollers that can get your hair like looking this beautiful in 2 seconds, or whatever it could be in the kitchen. Something. Favorite life hack?
Oh, that's a hard one. Let me see. I think mine would be my notes in my phone. I put everything
Okay.
down. My husband, like, whether it's groceries or something, I will forget. If I don't immediately put it down when I think of it, I'm going to forget. So everything goes in my notes.
It's the mom brain fog is
It
what
is.
that is.
I have like my passwords and everything in there.
That's
so
smart.
So my husband, I said, God forbid anything ever happened to me. I said, go to the notes.
Go
in
to the
my
notes.
phone.
It's all there. I love it. Note section. That is a good life hack. Okay, favorite brave moment in your life.
Favorite brave moment? Mine was very recent.
Yes,
You know?
I have a feeling.
Just being very open and honest during my cancer journey. To be
Yeah.
able to share that to help other people.
Yeah, that is brave. And I'm so glad you did.
Thank
I
you.
know you've helped so many people I know with it. Favorite restaurant?
Mi Piazzi.
Oh,
For sure.
okay.
In Odessa.
Okay, awesome. Check it out. If you haven't been, check it out. Favorite, with that said, favorite coffee shop or coffee?
Favorite coffee? Ooh, I like to make my own.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I learned to make like a sugar cookie syrup off TikTok, and so I make my own iced
Really?
coffee at home. Yes.
Okay, give us the recipe real
Okay,
quick.
It's like half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, and then a cup of water. And then it's butter extract, vanilla extract, and cake batter extract.
Oh my
It's so
gosh,
good.
that sounds so
It
good.
is.
That's awesome. There you go. Favorite Taylor Swift era.
Oh, wow. Back when I was like in high school, whatever that era was, when she first got big. Yeah, I used to have like all her CDs and stuff. I haven't listened to any, not anymore.
Not anymore.
I used to be
former Swiftie.
Former
yeah.
Swiftie.
Former Swiftie.
Yes.
I get it. I understand. Favorite meal to make? You're going to make one meal. The kids are going to be like, Mom, make this. What's it going to be?
Ooh, braised beef short ribs.
Okay.
They're so good.
That sounds good. That sounds awesome.
It takes like 7 hours.
And I'm a vegetarian, so
Oh,
coming
really?
from that sounds good though.
It takes like 7 hours to make, but they're incredible. They're so good.
7 hours?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, wow. So do you put them like in a crock pot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely. They just fall off the bone.
Love it. Love it. Favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Favorite movie? I haven't seen the new Barbie movie yet, so I can't say it's that one, but it sounds
You're gonna
really
love
good.
it.
I'm so excited to watch it.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
I don't know. I've been watching a lot of kids' movies lately.
Spoken like a true mom of
know.
littles.
Yeah, I've just, when you're a mom, you avoid movie theaters until they hit a certain age.
Yep.
So I haven't seen a movie in a long time that wasn't a child's movie.
No, I get it.
Elemental is a super cute movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's really cute.
It's
yes.
so cute. I love it.
Okay.
Go
Yeah, I
with
saw
that
the
one.
I saw the previews and I was like, that looks so
It
cute.
is. I was crying at the end.
Oh. You gotta love a good cartoon movie that you cry at the end.
Exactly.
And that's how you know you're a mom too, when you're crying at the end of these
Of a kid's
movies,
movie.
of these kids movies, which they're so good. I love the life lessons that come out of the movies that you see, like Elemental or Barbie. I mean, there's so many life lessons that can be learned through art that I think is amazing. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned?
Wow. It was definitely through my coach. Like I said, all of this is just all of this has changed my life. This has been a big year for me. Incredibly life-changing.
Lots of growth, lots of hard work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Learning to show up every day just as who I want to be and not worried about what people think I should be. And like I said, it was just liberating for me. I'm able to walk through life carefree, honestly. It's like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. It's gone.
Yeah.
Inspirational song. Favorite inspirational song?
This is going to sound crazy, but it's
I love anything that starts with that.
It's from
this
Hamilton.
Is gonna sound crazy.
It's from
really?
Hamilton. My
Yeah.
Shot.
Okay.
Love it. I would
good.
listen.
It's a good song.
Yeah, I
Yes.
would listen to it like before I would like head out for the day during Mrs. America week, right before
Yes.
interview. I was
Yes.
like, yes, this is good.
Hey,
That's it
you
for me.
got to have your hype song, man. I mean, really, you have to. Mine's "Don't Stop Believing."
Yes,
you've
that's a
got to
great
have
one.
your hype song that gets you going and gets you out there.
Yes,
and
I have a whole playlist of hype
I
songs.
love it. I love it. I would love to hear your playlist. Okay, last one. I want to know favorite part of your morning routine.
I would say like if I ever do wake up before the kids, which is not very often because they wake up before the sun.
Well, why is that? Why do young kids wake up so early? That is one of
know.
life's little mysteries.
It is.
We put them to bed early, but then they wake up early. Maybe that's the key. Put them to bed later.
Right. It's just like having that time for myself in the morning to just sit there and reflect on my day and what I'm doing, even if it's just like 5 minutes of just grounding myself in the mornings. That's my favorite part.
I love it. Yeah, just having those few moments to yourself.
Before the chaos.
Yes, before the chaos. Before, as I call it, your day gets hijacked.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Every mom knows this.
Yes.
I had a moment like this yesterday where I thought I was doing this all day, and then doot, and
Exactly.
and then next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock at night, and you're like, well, that was fun. But definitely not what I thought it was going to be, but it was even better actually.
Yes.
And it was hijacked, but it was all good. Favorite, let's see, did I go through them all? Oh, favorite memory in West Texas.
Oh, that's hard because I have so many.
So many,
here.
right?
Let's see. I think it's my wedding.
Aw.
Honestly, I'm very fortunate. I married my best friend. He's a wonderful man. That's definitely my favorite memory. We got married at Cuthbert Mansion in Midland.
Oh, I bet that was beautiful.
It was a beautiful venue. Yeah,
Oh,
it was a
I
great
love
time.
that. Is there anything coming into today's interview that we maybe haven't talked about and you're like, oh, I hope I get that out, or I hope I get to share that part of my story that maybe we just haven't? I know we've kind of run the gamut and covered a lot of different things, but is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to share today?
Yes, if you're interested in like getting into pageantry, the Mrs. Texas pageant, and now they also have a Miss division, so
Yes.
it's Mrs. and Miss. Anybody who's 18 and up can compete. It doesn't matter if you're married, if you're single, if you have kids, you can compete as long as you're 18 and older. The pageant's coming up in May. It's
Okay.
in Corsicana. So after Mrs. World, once things calm down a bit, I want to do a seminar to be able to help girls that don't know where to start. Just like a
Yes.
pageantry 101 day-long seminar for you to learn everything from walking and posing and what do you do during interview, what does your judge's bio look like.
What does the prep time look like?
Exactly.
You were telling me you would work out twice a day and,
Yes.
and clean eating.
And it's different for everybody, but this is a great system to start with.
Nice.
It's not, some systems are like cutthroat is what I call them. This is not one of them. People are very friendly. Everybody's very genuine, very kind. And so if that's something you'd be interested in, like, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I would love to help you. This changed my life. The Sisterhood is like forever. And I'm just incredibly grateful that I was able to be a part of it. So I would like to help other girls do that.
Yes,
so keep an eye out for
that
that seminar. If that's something you're interested in.
I love that. Okay. I think that's fantastic. And I know that is going to be a huge success. And I'm wishing you the best in that, in your business. Oh, we always ask about a nonprofit at the end of our show. Is there a nonprofit that you want to shout out that has maybe been instrumental in your life, or that you've done maybe some volunteer work, just something that you would like to shine a light on today?
Yes. So during my cancer journey, it's called One Bite at a Time Ministries. They reached out to me, and the owner had breast cancer, and she fought, I believe she fought for like 4 years, but they came to visit me literally the day before we drove to Dallas for my surgery. And they brought me this beautiful quilt, and they brought the kids little elephants, and they were telling me about their ministry, and their whole purpose is to help cancer patients. And whether that's with rides to appointments, somebody to sit with you at your appointment, if you need a meal, anything you need help with, that's what they're there for.
That's awesome.
They have support groups. It was a great resource to have, something I didn't even know existed, but their whole ministry is based around how do you eat an elephant, and it's one bite at a time. I
love it.
And I told them, I said, that's how I'm taking this cancer journey, is one day at a time.
Yeah.
And so that was a great resource to have. It's not something I knew existed beforehand.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for shouting them out. I know it's a wonderful organization. Of course, help and support those local organizations that we mention here on the show any way you can. We have so many in West Texas that are amazing and give back to our community. And if you can help any of them in any way, that would be awesome. I would love that. Okay, final question. The final. I feel like I've had like 5 finals.
That's okay.
Okay, if there was one pageant trick that you could share, through the years you've heard, put Vaseline on your teeth, or the hairspray on the cheeks for butt glue for the swimsuit. If there's one pageant trick you could share with us today that is true and that works, let us know. What is it?
Ooh, one pageant trick. Let's see. Putting makeup, like body makeup on, is a huge thing. I have like a gold shimmery one I got off Amazon, but like on like your legs or your shoulders. So when you're on stage, it makes you look like you're literally glowing.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Yes. And so some girls were like, what is that? What do you have? And we were just passing the tube around the dressing room.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
yes. I'm like,
awesome.
here you go, use it. Body makeup.
Body makeup. Yeah. Okay. Is there a certain brand? Is it like
no, just anything, whatever works
any
for you.
Sparkly body makeup?
Yeah.
And you are a self-tanner. She was telling me about this really cool self-tanning that she does herself, because we were saying we just like to do it ourselves sometimes, right? And so it's just a mousse that you can just put on yourself. How amazing is that? And you can look as tan and beautiful as Regina.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your tricks. More importantly, thank you for sharing your heart today. I really have learned so much about you, and I feel like I am just going to be your biggest cheerleader from here on out. Of course, besides your mom and your husband and your kids, but I really want to see all your dreams come true, because I think that your heart is in the right place, and when your heart is in the right place, it shines through in all you do, and you can definitely tell that yours is. And that's a beautiful thing to see. And so I wish you the best of luck at Worlds. Go get them. Go just show them this beautiful you. And but see, this is going to air the first week of January, because we want to start January off with amazing, inspiration and goals. And I can't think of a better way than with Mrs. America to really kickstart it and for all of your dreams to come true. I think we've learned a lot today through the heart work and through your, find out your why. That's so important, not just in pageantry, but in, everyday life, and be yourself. I mean, so many great takeaways today. So thank you for sharing your time. We didn't even get to talk about this beautiful sparkly crown here. Isn't this gorgeous?
Thank you.
This is fantastic. What's the hardest part about keeping it on your head?
All the bobby pins that it requires.
Yes, that can be tricky.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Regina. We really appreciate you being with us today. Follow her on social media. Reach out to her. She's going to be doing that pageant workshop if you have kids that are interested. Most importantly, just follow her journey because it's an amazing one, and we wish you the very best. And it's everything we believe here, which is dream big, believe, and never give up. So, Regina, thank you for being here today. And that's it. We want to thank our sponsors. Don't forget to support local, not even just our sponsors, but everybody. Support local, everybody. But a special shout out to Kevin Foreman of Foreman Financial, Rig ID Workwear, Thin FR, Midland Cap Company, Tapestry Hotel Midland, and joincapclub.com. And finally, just go make it a great year. 2024 is going to be your year. What do you want more in 2024? I don't know. Put it out there. Think of it. Manifest it, make it happen. You can do it. And remember, we're rooting for you and we believe in you. Thanks for joining us. You make it a great day.